Willkommen zurück. This is it. This is the video that will complete your German skills for talking about when things happen. After this, you'll be able to tell the world whether you eat your Kuchen before, during or after your Kaffee or your Tee. Hallo, mein Name is Thomas from Coffee Break German, and in the last video I explained why German has actually 3 different words for the English word before. Those words were vor, before and davor. Now, if you haven't watched that video and you don't know the difference between those words yet, then it might actually be a good idea to start there. Just click the link here. If you do already understand before, then there's good news, because after is not too different. Again, we have 3 different words for it. We have nach, nachdem and danach, and we have similar rules for when to use them. Of course, it isn't that easy and there are a couple of Stolpersteine, stumbling blocks on the way. Aber egal, we get to that later. Let's start with our first word, and that's the easiest one. Nach, the preposition. Now, just like we used vor plus a noun to say before, we can do the same with nach. We can use nach plus a noun to say after. For example, nach der Arbeit would be after work, or nach meinem Unfall would be after my accident. Now, this also works if you want to describe activities like after swimming. We could say nach dem Schwimmen, or after playing cards, nach dem Kartenspielen. Notice how in German these activities are still treated as nouns and have a capital letter, even if they originate from a verb. You also probably noticed that nach in this context of time is always followed by the dative, because we saw lots of M's there. Have a look at this other example sentence. Nach einem Besuch in der Sauna fühle ich mich wie neu. So after a visit, and the visit is in the dative, einem Besuch to the sauna, I feel like a new person. Okay, nach plus noun means after. Weiter geht's. Our second word for after is nachdem. Now with nachdem, we are back to those incomplete sentence parts that are called subordinate clauses. If we are dealing with these sentence parts that cannot stand by themselves, then we need to use nachdem for the correct word for after. Example, ich esse die Schokolade erst, nachdem ich den Gipfel erreicht habe. Okay, so I only eat the chocolate after I have reached the summit. Now there's 2 things that are important here. Erstens, the sentence part starting with nachdem, our subordinate clause, has the verb at the end. If you think back to our example, we said, nachdem ich den Gipfel erreicht habe. So our conjugated verb habe is at the very end of the sentence part. Zweitens, and this is quite unique to nachdem, the sentence part with nachdem is always in the past tense. And this does kind of make sense since you're talking about what you do after you have done something else. Schau her. Nachdem ich die Äpfel geschält habe, esse ich sie. So, after I have peeled the apples, I eat them. I need to peel them first. I've finished peeling them. Now I eat them. So the part with the peeling is in the past. However, if the action in your main sentence, in our case the eating, is also in the past, then you need to use a past tense that is even further back, which would be the Pluperfekt or das Plusquamperfekt auf Deutsch. Look at the same sentence again. Nachdem ich die Äpfel geschält hatte, aß ich sie. So in English that would be after I had peeled the apples, I ate them. So again, we use a past that's further back than the past tense in our main sentence. Remember, merken, nachdem works like before, and that it is used for a subordinate clause. However, this clause needs to use a past tense that happened earlier than the tense in the sentence part that follows. Quite complicated, but you saw in the examples what I mean. Gut, unser drittes Wort. Danach. Well, danach already looks a lot like davor that we saw in the last video, and it works in exactly the same way. No extra rules this time, no complications. It translates best as after that, and it does connect two separate sentences. Zum Beispiel, Martin geht jetzt einkaufen. Danach kocht was Leckeres. So Martin is going shopping now. After that, he's cooking something tasty. Instead of danach, you could also use the word nachher. The rules, use and meaning are much the same, only that nachher, I would say, refers to a general later time instead of referring to a specific event. In our last sentence we had, he's going shopping, that was our event, and we said after that he does something else. If you use nachher, you just say at a later point. Wunderbar! Just like that, you have also mastered how to translate after in German. Now there is one last word that we need to tackle. That is the word for during or while, which is während in German. Good news, it's only one word and not 3 words this time. Bad news, there is still a little bit of a difference depending on how you use that word. You can either use it again with a noun, so we could say während der Ferien besuche ich oft Freunde. During the holidays, I often visit friends. Or you could also use it to start a subordinate clause, those incomplete clauses, with a verb at the very end again. So look at this example. Während ich dieses Video schaue, mache ich nichts anderes. So while I am watching this video, I am doing nothing else. So you see, während is definitely a lot easier because it's just in one word, but it has those 2 different uses. Now, I would say because we are on a roll, there's one more thing I want to show you, just very quickly. And that is those 3 little words, Kurz, gleich und direkt. Now they are all words you can use with any of the words for before or after. You could, for example, say, Martin war hier, kurz bevor verschwand. So Martin was here just before he disappeared. So you see, you just add kurz for the meaning of just, and you can do that with any of the words for before or any of the words for after. Another example would be, hol mich bitte direkt nach dem Einkaufen ab. So please come and get me directly after shopping. So you can use direkt to say that something happens immediately before or after something else. And then the last one I mentioned earlier was, ich gehe schnell duschen und gleich danach rufe ich dich zurück. Versprochen. So I'm taking a shower and right after that I'll call you back. I'll promise. So gleich was the word that we used here, and it is similar to direct, but it's a little bit less immediate. In our example, the person is likely to still, for example, put on some clothes before they make that call that they promised. Okay, and now we've covered all the things about before, after, and during, and even threw in some extra words. If you feel like practicing what you learned, then follow the link in the description for some exercises. And if you're just getting started, then check out this video here and improve your German even further. And if you feel like that's enough for today and you just want to go for a walk and don't want to hear about German for a while, that's also okay. Oh, and let me know if you enjoyed this kind of 2-part in-depth grammar video. And if you do, then we can make more of those. Also, viel Spaß noch, egal was du jetzt machst, und bis bald.